Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Sunday, the 28th of July. I love the comments. Keep them coming, especially the bottle of gas getting you home 8 miles. That is hilarious. That's a hard one to top, by the way. The stuff we do when we're kids, right? The stuff that we did when we were kids would amount to child abuse now on our parents if if it was back then, we did it. Parents just kind of, it was just the way it was, that on a weekend, as long as you were home for the noontime whistle, the 5 o'clock whistle for dinner, and then before dark, they figured, well, we were fishing or enjoying ourselves on the ball field or what have you. Now, how much time do kids get alone with their friends? I mean, I can see pushing it with spray bottle in the car. And Amos, I get you, with the hydraulic hose. And I want a quick shout out and ask how you doing with your recovery from the heart attack. But I'll give you one more story. And that's only because I'm running short on time. It's 10 to 5. Been in the hayfield all day yesterday, mowing. And, it's one of those things of, it's not if it can go wrong, it's when, right? So yesterday I started out mowing with a 2630 John Deere that I have. And half an hour, 40 minutes in, the temp started climbing. So I took that all the way back to the house. I was on what we call the fourth farm. And that's about 4 miles from the farm. So I drove that tractor all the way back. I brought it down the night before and Claude picked me up. But I drove that all the way back and I grabbed my Deutz 7085 and I had the heavier cut mower on it anyways. So I come all the way back and I get about half the farm dropped. And all of a sudden I feel something not right in the cab of the tractor, right? So I hop out, and here it is. It's pissing calcium chloride and air out the valve stem. So I had my truck down there. So I ran back to the shop, got the air compressor, got the portable generator and air compressor, went back, blew it up, got another quarter of the farm done, and the tire slowly was going down again. So this morning, I've still got the air compressor and the generator in the back of my truck. I'm going to blow that sucker up tight, and because there's no place to get it fixed, especially a rear tire. It's a huge tire on the weekend, on the Sunday. I can probably get it done tomorrow morning. But that's my baling tractor, so no help yesterday or today. So I'm going to have to just kind of do as much as you can do, right? And they say the Lord won't put any more on your plate than what you can handle. Well, freaking stop it. All right, so stay tuned. Alrighty, so welcome back. Yes, it is. It's Grandpa Eric with Story Time. So today's episode this was probably back, oh gosh, 10, 12 years ago. And I've been looking on Facebook Marketplace. And by then, a lot of people had PayPal, right? And that was one way you could get paid or send payment was PayPal. So I was looking on there, and there was a Ford 3000 tractor with a loader on it, and they were asking $2,500 for it. So I started messaging the person back and forth, and she was the one in charge of the account, must be, because she was the one texting me. She said they put a lot of money into it. I'm like, that should have been the first red flag. I was thinking, well, they must have got everything all fixed up. And she said, it runs and drives. But she said that they're just tired of monkeying with it, and they went out and they bought themselves one of the new Chinese tractors, TMI or TM, something like that. And they wanted to get rid of this one. So I said, well, look, because it was, I think, a Sunday. I said, we can come up tomorrow morning, be there around 8, 9 o'clock, and take a look at the tractor and then go from there. She said, well, I won't be here. We work. I said, is there a place I can leave the money if I decide I want it? And she said, no, not really. And I said, well, the only other option would be to hold it until the following weekend. She said, well, I'm not holding it for anybody, which I totally understand. With me, it's not sold till it's sold. And it's even more prevalent now on Facebook Marketplace than it was years ago. Half the people that tell you that they want it and they're coming to get it never show. And the other half that say they got you down some in messaging, when they get there, they want to get you down even farther. I don't blame you, but we had a deal at this amount, and that's where I told you my cutoff was. So why come all the way out and then waste my time? So I told her, I said, look, you're asking $2,500. What if I give $500 down on PayPal, and we'll come down next Saturday? She was still adamant. No, first come with the money. Tractor's cheap enough. It shouldn't last long. She had a bunch of other people messaging her. So I said, all right. I went ahead and, against better judgment, I sent her the full $2,500 through PayPal. And back then, there wasn't any assurances, or like PayPal finally went to, was if you bought something through PayPal and it ended up being a junk, not that what it was supposed to be, you could get your money back. But that's not me anyways. If I buy it, I buy it as is, where it is. So I had a Ford F-250 at the time, and we were using the fifth wheel gooseneck trailer to go get it. So we get up to the address, and here it is sitting in her driveway. Started right up. I put it in low range, put it onto the trailer, drove right on, no problem. Claude and I looked at each other like, well, maybe we turned out okay on this, because if it's running and driving in decent shape, we should be able to get around 4 to 45. And then I figured, well, I'll run it through the shop and do a service on it. So we get headed back, and I was born in Plattsburgh, and the tractor was in just between Saranac and Redford. And that was my stomping grounds, was Saranac. I grew up in a house that was right close to the elementary school, just off Route 3. And we knew Redford very well, because we also had a camp on Union Falls and on Silver Lake up there. My grandparents did. And that's where a lot of my father's family was from, is up in that neck of the woods. And I had a lot of elementary friends. Before I moved away, we still kept in touch. So halfway back, a little less than halfway, we're coming into Saranac Lake. and the truck is making a tonking noise. And I'm like, Claude, what the heck is that? So he let off, and then he gave it a throttle, and she started rattling bad. And finally, boom, there she went. Just before you got into Lake Placid, Saranac Lake. So I had my phone with me. I checked to see who was the closest wrecker service. So I gave him a call. And I said, can you get out here and hook onto this? And this is where it needs to go. I'll pay you for hauling it. Because some wreckers will hook right onto your truck with a trailer hooked to it and just pull all of that. And then I had a friend from school, and we were close. Our parents, we called each other's parents aunt and uncle. Uncle Jim and Aunt Sally. Kathy texted me, and she said, look, my husband has a shop. If you want, he can hook onto your trailer and bring it up here and drop it. And then, also come get your truck. But nobody's there to give you a ride home. And I should have jumped on that. Honestly. I should have jumped on it because it was like 9:30 in the morning. So finally I found a wrecker service that was willing to haul it, and they said they'd be out in the next half hour. 4 o'clock that afternoon, Claude and I are still sitting on the side of the road. Yeah. Just so you know, from the shop to where the tractor was located was like 118 miles. So we were still 53 miles from home. Doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're going to walk, it's a long walk, right? But the first guy showed up and he had a rollback. And he proceeded to unhook the trailer on the edge of the road, and he wanted to put the truck up on the rollback. And I said, I thought you were going to send a wrecker that could hook both of them together and just go. And he said, no, we can't do that. But what we decided that we're going to do, the owner said, is put the truck on the rollback, and then the other wrecker is coming. He's just trying to find his, gooseneck hitch that goes on the wrecker part. So about 20 minutes later, he showed up. So it's like 9-10 o'clock before we get home. And the guy I was riding with in the wrecker, he was more interested in texting and driving. And Claude rode in the rollback. He said that his guy was the same way. They were texting and driving, probably talking about us being assholes because we still hadn't talked price. So we end up, I tell him, I said, look, let's drop the truck 10 o'clock at night in front of a garage that's almost home to me. Another guy I went to high school together. He had his own garage. And this was the second engine that had been in that truck. And it was guaranteed. And it was still under the mileage and the years of that guarantee. So, told him drop the truck right there. So they did. But the guy was hesitant because they hadn't gotten paid yet. So I told the other guy that was with me, I said, just keep headed where I want you to go, and we'll drop the gooseneck trailer right in my front yard. So we get there, and he's like, I'm not dropping anything until we get paid. So, well, we haven't talked price yet. Give me your $1,250 to take both of them 50 miles after being 9, 10, 11, 12, 7 hours late. But what are you going to do? I should have told him to keep the freaking tractor. So I went in the house, I got cash, I come back out, and I give him the $12.50, and he unhooked, and off they went. Now, it was only the next day when we had the other truck that we could hook onto the trailer, because we didn't have, at that time, we had a second truck, but it wasn't running 100%. But we got the tractor off the trailer, and it was in my front yard at the house, so it's like a mile and a half down the road to the shop. So Claude hopped on it, and it was going through all the gears, good and low range, but the minute you put it in high range, it kept jerking. And what it was there was a tooth broke on that high range gears, and when it hit that spot, it would lurch it. So the tractor cost me $2,500. The tow was another $1,200. So there's $3,700 I got in that tractor. And now I got a broken transmission gear, which makes it almost... And one of those projects we put on the side. And when we decided to see if we could at least bring it back, get it running and out the door, it lost compression. So it still sits here on the farm, and we're using it for partsers. So on that note, you guys can't be all funny. On that note, you guys have a great Sunday, and we'll get back into the rhythm again, hopefully tomorrow, unless I have more hay on the ground. All right, thanks so much for watching.